Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's Tuesday, and a cloudy Tuesday at that. It's just stopped raining. It's momentarily stopped raining, so it's given me an opportunity here just to step out onto the platform at Circular Quay and just capture the magnificence of this beautiful location. As I say time and time again, where else in the world can you step off the train and be presented with such beauty? It's absolutely glorious. Anyway, let's go on a walk and talk. And today I'm going to take you through a book summary, a very interesting book summary, which I hope you get something out of it, just like I got something out of it. But before I kick off on the book, let's just get off the station, and I'll head down to wharf number 6, where I'm undercover, out of the elements, and we'll start talking about this book. But the Lucifer Effect, basically, you can probably get it from the title, is all about understanding how evil comes about in the world, and how, more importantly, we're all capable of being evil. But the good thing is that we don't choose to be evil all the time, and we can shape our destiny and our responses. Unlike animals who just react to things, humans have the capability of responding through using their rational mind, and by doing what is right. Anyway, I'm almost here, so I've got to be careful that I don't pull out my notebook in the rain, because it gets all blotchy, and I don't want to lose what I've got written down. So here we are on wharf number 6. So the Lucifer Effect is a book that's written by an author named Philip Zimbardo. Philip Zimbardo wrote the book The Lucifer Effect, and he makes an important sort of statement at the beginning of the book, where he says that the line between good and evil, is permeable, and almost anyone can be induced to cross it when pressured by situational forces. So that's the theme of this book, is that basically we are all capable of doing evil things and being mean and causing suffering, but and it all depends on the situation. So a lot of people who end up in jail are just normal people, just like you and I. But you can argue, and I'm sure that a lot of solicitors argue, that it was a situation that caused them to cross the line and to do what they did. The author here talks about the fact that even angels can turn evil under the right circumstances. The bottom line is we are all capable, you and I are all capable of doing terrible things, but also we have the power to teach ourselves to act heroically instead. So so the big lesson there is that we all are pressured to bring out the devil in us. And I say it time and time again, that there are some people who bring out the angel in me, who know how to play me, and there are others who just bring out the worst in me, regardless of how hard I try to do the right thing and to think the right things. There are some people who just press my buttons and absolutely give me the shits. So let's move on and just talk about this book. And there are 3 key points that we can identify in his writings, Philip Zimbardo's writings. So the first thing he talks about here is that if you think you are the same person in every situation, you are wrong. Because our personalities, according to the author, are not static, and we're changing all the time. So we all do what we all do. Bear with me, sorry. We all do what depends on the situation that we're in, is the key message from the author. So depending on where you are, depending on who you're with, depending on what you're doing, will determine how you behave and how you react, or how you respond. And you know it. We're different all the time. You're a different person when you're at the football. You're a different person when you're under pressure. You're a different person when you're at a party, or you're socialising, or you're exercising. Depending on our roles and our goals, will determine how we behave and how we respond to the pressures that are forced upon us by ourselves, by our environments, and by people around us. And the important thing is to understand is that there are some people who just turn on a dime, who can be really, really nice to you, and before you know it, they can turn and they can become mean, and you say to yourself, well, where did that come from? So because humans are habitual in nature, as my Uncle Angelo used to say, give people enough rope and sooner or later they will hang themselves. And it's the same with all relationships and all people around us, that if you study people long enough, their real character will come to the fore, will come to the surface. So that's the first 2 points. Let's move on to the last point. And the last point is basically understanding how we can shape our behaviours. And the author says that basically you are not destined to act evil, because heroic and moral choices are always possible. Just because our capacity to do wrong depends on our situation, there are always things that we can do to resist poor behaviour. So I guess we all see it time and time again. We get pressed at work, we get pressed at home, we get pressed in public, we get attacked in social media, and our egos are pushed, and people push our buttons all the time. But the important thing to understand is that every time we get pushed, we have a moment to reflect, and we can respond as opposed to reacting. Remembering that animals are the ones that react to stimulus, so stimulus response, whereas humans, if they're responsible, are able to respond based on thinking about what's the best way to react or to respond, and to do what it is that they need to do, because we have the capability to resist the pressures that are thrust upon us, that are foisted upon us by a situation. So just because you're in a situation doesn't mean that you need to react to that situation. You have the ability, as the author says, to respond. And the difference between humans and animals is that humans have the ability to resist. I remember years ago learning from a friend of mine who had a chicken coop and lived on a farm. He said that whenever a fox gets into the chicken coop, the fox just can't help itself but kill every single chicken in that chicken coop, even if it's only going to take one chicken away to eat. It'll just go out of its way to cause absolute destruction, utter destruction to that whole community. And like so, I guess we've seen over time in our social circles, in our Facebook friends, in our groups, that there are people who just can't help themselves and they'll go out of their way to just destroy whatever they can and as many people as they can, because, I don't know, just in their nature, they just can't help themselves. Who knows? But the author talks here in this book about ways and methods that you can use to resist reacting. And the first thing is to practice being responsible for all of your decisions. Because if you see yourself as being responsible and just not a reactionary, then you're going to be in a better position to make decisions rather than just to react and just do what others try and force us to do by stirring us up and giving us the shits and calling us to do stupid things. The second point that the author makes in this series of points is that we need to stop following people who you feel are unjust. Say no if there is something that is not okay. Just because, your friends, your family, your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your boss says something and, leads you down a path, doesn't mean that you need to accept it. So you can say no if there is something which makes you feel uncomfortable. And the third point is that we also need to question the ideology that justifies actions. Just because you can come up with a justification doesn't make it right, because there are bullshit artists around us who will always find a justification to do what they do. They'll come up with some reasoning as to what they're doing is morally right or correct. But if you look behind it, if you question their ideology, you will see right through them and see that they are bullshit artists and they are manipulators and they're just gaslighters, as some people call them as well. So the call to action is to step up and be a hero. And in order to be a hero is somebody who is active when everybody else is passive. So when everybody else is zipped their mouths and have submitted to groupthink, then the hero is the one who's able to step up and be the mouthpiece and basically say what everybody else is thinking. And the second point about heroism is that heroes always put others before themselves. Something to consider, something to contemplate on this wet old Tuesday here in Sydney town, where it's still dark. It'll be light in about, I guess, half an hour, probably about 20 past 6. The light will start coming up. So thank you very much for joining me on this relatively dark topic today, the Lucifer Effect, but it has a bright ending because it basically says that the author brings to our attention that we're all capable of being dickheads, we're all capable of being shitheads and being mean and miserable to others around us, but also capable of being mean and miserable to ourselves as well. but to understand that you have the capability of pushing back, and you have the capability of not reacting to the situation, but responding with love, responding as a hero, and doing the right thing rather than adding fuel to the fire to basically be the one with the fire extinguisher to put out the fire and to nip it in the bud. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's take some points from this wonderful text, the Lucifer Effect, and do what we need to do to always bring out the best in ourselves and others, and not to be damaging, overly damaging with our attitudes and our poor thoughts. So thank you once again, and I wish you all a happy Tuesday, a productive day, and we'll see where it leads us. Γεια σας, φιλάκια from Jim's 5 a.m. club, and we'll chat again. Take care, and τα λέμε. I'll be back later on, around about morning tea hopefully, with another Jim's 5 a.m. club, and we'll see where it leads us. Anyway, there's my friend Toga heading off to work, and see if we get rained off today. I can go home early and get ready for choir practice. Bye for now. Cheerio. Que tal leme.